But let's bring in si Pasig Mayor Vico Soto joining us now live from, I think, from Pasig City Hall kasi may logo siya sa likod kanina.
Yes.
Mayor Soto, are you there?
Ay, magandang gabi po sa inyo.
Good evening.
Good evening po, Mayor, and thank you po for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Mayor, una-una po, may lumabas kasing storya na you are one of the 5 top mayors in terms of COVID response, at least as far as an NGO is concerned. It's a survey done by the RP Mission and Development Foundation, or RPD Inc. Kaya daw ang nag-86% approval rating as far as yung COVID-19 response is concerned. I suppose it's and marami doon sa mga nag-top na mayors, if not all, are new mayors. Many of them were new in politics, including you. At least on executive level. So ano po, why do you think you got such good ratings? Where's this coming from? Looking at all your initiatives, you have laptops and tablet budget, you have bike lanes, you have bike racks, and you have a transport loan as well.
Well, ako po, I always take surveys with a grain of salt. Lalo na kung hindi ako familiar sa methodology nila. Although hindi siguro maiwasan, may mga nagsisend sa akin, so nakikita ko rin siya. But as much as possible, I really don't pay attention to those surveys. But with that said, I am proud of how we have handled, this whole pandemic. Obviously not perfect. There's still a lot of areas for improvement. But overall, I think we have a passing grade here in Pasig. We can't really say na talagang magaling na magaling dahil may namamatay pa rin eh. Every life count. Hindi ko, as far as survey is concerned, hindi ko masyadong naiintindihan.
Pinaghahandaan din ng mga local government ngayon, especially in Metro Manila, yung pagbabalik ng jeepneys. Even in secondary routes, mukhang marami-rami yun in your city. Ano pong klaseng paghahanda ang ginagawa nyo to prevent the jeepneys to encourage them to comply with the health protocols? Kasi dati nag-umpisa kayo, nanguna kayo sa pagbabalik ng tricycle, although nagkaroon ng controversy yun. I'm sure you're in favor of having the jeepneys return to the streets, especially in your city. Pero yung iba nag-aalala din siyempre about the health compliance ng mga jeepney operators and drivers. Baka meron ba kayong mga particular programs sa Pasig to ensure na safe yun kung babalik sila?
Well, first, I just want to say we will follow the lead of the OTR, LTFRB, our national government agencies. But if we see how, when we resumed operations of tricycles here in Pasig, everyone complied with the health safety requirements. We gave them disinfectants and plastics for the sidecars to separate it from the driver. Naging maayos po. Lahat naman, pag sinabihan sila at naintindihan naman nila kung bakit, nagko-comply naman po yung mga driver natin, yung mga TODA. It will be the same with our mga JODA.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Mayor, in the meantime, we're getting a lot of reports of a lot of drivers saying that kahit payagan silang tumakbo, hindi sila makatakbo because of course there's that dilemma na wala ring sumasakay. How are we addressing on that side?
Medyo nag-choppy po kayo sa dulo, but I think you're saying hindi kakayanin kasi hindi na sila kikita. Tama po ba? Nag-choppy po sa dulo. Yes. This is a reality. Kung kailangan i-impose talaga yung social distancing, baka hindi. Kami naman po, sa tricycle, pwede namin payagan na mas mataas yung singilin nila. Pero sa jeep, wala kaming authority to do that. So we will wait for the guidelines and kung ano yung sabihin sa amin. Pero, we'll do what we can. Pero, alam niyo po, ngayon, yan ang pinakamalaking challenge dito sa Pasig, yung kakulangan ng pampublikong transportasyon. Kaya naiipon yung mga, syempre, papasok na yung mga tao eh. Pumapasok na po sila, problema, kulang ang masasakyan nila. But we have been working very closely with the national government agencies. Yung Kalentong Pasig route meron na. So may mga ganun po. Ano? So, pero again, we will follow the lead of the national government agencies.
Mayor, let me pick your brains lang on the modernized jeepney versus the traditional. Saan po kayo ron? Where do you stand?
Well, I don't stand in either. Basta kami, implementation naman eh. As mayor, kung ano po yung directive, syempre sumusunod kami as an LGU. That's not me playing safe, it's just the reality. Kung ano yung sabihin sa amin, talagang magko-comply kami sa directives. Now, of course, whatever happens, if we will shift towards modernization, kailangan gumawa tayo ng programa para sa kabuhayan ng mga mawawala ng trabaho. We need to provide some sort of livelihood program for those who will not be absorbed.
Yeah, kasi sa ibang lugar talagang nagmamalimos na yung mga jeepney driver, no?
Sa ngayon po kasi, syempre, ang tagal na nilang walang kita eh.
Yes. So how is it in your city?
We've tried to give them what we can. So, dito po sa Pasig, meron kaming una yung supplemental SAP, pero yun para sa lahat po ng pamilya sa Pasig. Halos tapos na po kami dyan. 90+% ng pamilya Pasigenyo. Kung hindi nakatanggap from DSWD or other national programs, nakakuha po sila ng Pasig supplemental SAP. Para naman po sa mga jeepney drivers in particular, also tricycle drivers, yung mga Toda, Joda po natin, pati UV Express, meron kaming binigay na financial assistance na 4,000 pesos each. So, alam ko po kulang din yun, sa ilang linggo na walang trabaho, walang kita yung mga mamamayan na pero we're all doing the best that we can. And we will continue to help as we can.
Kumusta naman po yung
Mayor,
bicycle lanes? Di ba maganda din yung program niya doon eh? Meron bang additional program yan to expand? Kumusta yung reaction ng mga tao? Saka magdadagdag ba kayo ng mga areas allotted to? Kasi ang dami-dami ng bicycles ngayon.
Bicycle lanes, yes. 3 phases po ang bicycle lane program po namin. And when we say bicycle lane, kasama po dito yung mga e-scooter and other alternative modes of transport, yung mga maliliit. So 3 phases. First phase was the pop-up bike lanes. Ginawa po namin ito simula nung ECQ pa. Ang hirap ng pop-up bike lanes kasi buurong siya, di mo maiwasan. But phase 2, ongoing po, nagsimula na pero pinagpapatuloy pa namin yung painted bike lanes. Phase 3 will be the extended high priority corridor for bicycles. Ito po yung mga protected bike lanes na. So mula Marcos Highway hanggang C. Raimundo, hanggang Pasig, yung Old River. Dire-diretso po yan. So this will be protected bike lanes. And
Mayor,
the program yung bike rack na nabanggit kanina ni Sir Ed.
Mayor, do you have any estimate on how many people are already using the bike lanes? And more importantly, of course, the safety matter is legitimate. Some other LGUs are saying they're hesitant kasi concerned sila sa But ano yung reflection nyo on bikes? What are you learning about the efficiency, the effectiveness, and the safety? And more importantly, what are you learning about how people are behaving once you have bike lanes?
Number one, the shift of some people, if not many people, to bicycles is inevitable. Hindi po may iwasan yan. Lalo na kapag nahihirapan sila sa pampublikong transportasyon, pag sobra-sobra yung traffic, kaya naman nila mag-bike papunta dun sa trabaho nila o pauwi, gagawin po yan ng mga tao. So, pangalawa, dapat ang pamahalaan gumawa ng paraan para mas maging ligtas po sila habang nagbibikleta sila. And that's exactly why in our phase 3, we're focused on protected bike lanes.
Ilang kilometro na po? Kung pagsasamahin niyo yung phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, ilang kilometro na po nabuo niyo dyan?
I don't know offhand. I would have to ask our Pasig Transport for the exact number. Pero medyo marami ng streets yung sa painted. Pero again, kahit naman painted, aminin natin, delikado pa rin eh. Kaya kailangan talaga protected. Kailangan talaga protected. So kung ilang kilometers yung galing Amang Rodriguez, from the Marcos Highway area all the way to dito sa may City Hall, kasi itutuloy-tuloy namin yun. Medyo mahaba rin po siya.
Kumusta na yung revival ng businesses sa city? Kasi maraming nagbubukas pero nagrereklamo yung mga negosyante na kukunti pa rin yung customer, kapareho ng mga salon, natatakot pa rin daw yung mga tao sa kanila, yung mga dine-in restaurants, natatakot pa rin. How is it going in your city? And are you planning any program to revive, to add to measures to revive businesses?
Yes, well, mahirap po talaga. Kahit ako, ayokong kumain ng dine-in. Nakakatakot din talaga. At hindi pa tayo safe na safe. Marami pa rin kaso ng COVID sa buong Metro Manila.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend to anyone mag-dine-in, kumain ng dine-in. So sorry to the businesses that will be affected with what I'm saying. Pero yun yung reality. Dito sa Pasig, karamihan ng mga negosyo nagbukas na ulit. But we always remind them to comply with the minimum health and safety standards. Every day we close several businesses or at least suspend them. Pag may nahuli kami, halimbawa may isang, yung iba hindi ko na rin pinapunta kasi kawawa naman, baka negative advertising pa for them. Basta i-suspend lang namin ng 1 week. Okay na yun para makapag-comply sila. Minsan kasi yung employee hindi nakamask, o mali yung pag-calibrate nila for social distancing ng mga table, sinususpend po talaga namin ng 1 linggo.
Pero nakaka-curious, paano ba ang decision-making process ninyo dyan? Sino-sino na kasama mo? Sino-sino ang team members mo? And how are you able to actually keep going despite these very, very difficult times?
Well, ang kakaiba dito sa COVID-19 and this crisis is that first time tayo, at least sa kasaysayan or in our lifetimes at least, first time nagkaroon ng crisis na ganito kalaki na lahat talaga across the board affected negatively. But we're blessed here in Pasig that we have a very strong team. Again, not perfect, a lot of things to improve on, but we have experts from different fields, kung health issue or health concerns, we ask our doctors. Everyone is doing their overtime, everyone is going above and beyond the call of duty. So I'm very blessed as mayor. Most of the decisions here, even if I might make the final decision, because a lot of consultation, kung sino yung eksperto sa field, yun yung tinatanong namin, everyone is consulted.
Must be some kind of baptism of fire for you, no? But on your first term as mayor.
Yes. Yes.
How
Tingin ko para sa lahat naman ng mayor, even yung mga nakausap ko na 3-term, 6-term mayor, lahat sila pareho nang sinasabi, this is something different. Wala akong, di ba, hindi ito yung tipo ng crisis na, kunwari, may baha, o may lindol, may sunog. Pwede akong tumawag sa ibang mayor. Mayor, ano yung ginawa niyo dati nung nagkaroon ng ganito? May ganun, sabi ko, pero ito wala talaga. Lahat kami nakakapa din, lahat kami ay bago sa sitwasyong ito.
Pero may baka I think yung gustong tubukin ni Luchi is give us an idea of your inner circle, your team of advisors. Are they as young as you are? Kasi karamihan sa mga mayor, pag old time ang mayor, like yung mga tao niya sa paligid, kaututang dila pa niya yung panahon na kung saan siya nanggaling. And that's why typically you would have the same kind of politics, the same kind of processes of these traditional mayors.
Well, that was the first thing that I did before I assumed office. Actually, interestingly enough, today is the exact anniversary. But it's 1 year exact from 30 2019. one of the first things that I did after the elections was to assemble a strong team. So iba't ibang klaseng tao to. May karamihan ay mas bata, ano. Pero meron din kaming senior citizen, iba-iba. Meron kaming experience sa local government, merong bago sa local government. But as I always say, I only have two qualifications with people who work for me. This is the type of people that I look for before I assumed office. Una, dapat tapat, may integridad. Everything else can be learned, everything else can be taught, pero kailangan may integridad, strong character. And pangalawa, dapat mahusay, yung talent and skills. Ano. So, yun lang po. And I'm thankful that we were able to assemble a good team.
Yes. Mayor, last na lang. Yung pagka-single blessedness nyo ba, is it an advantage or is it a disadvantage during this time? I'm just wondering.
Advantage siguro.
Wala kayong naalala ng mga bata, ano? Malaking bagay yan.
Siguro ang pinaka-key doon, wala akong mga anak. So, kahit nandito ako hanggang alas 10 ng gabi, hanggang hating gabi, wala naghahanap sa akin.
Pero sabi ng dati niya, dapat maghanap na raw kayo.
Mayor, bakit yung anak lang ninyo maghahanap sa inyo? Dapat yung asawa, di ba?
Asawa. Hindi ko alam, wala naman ang asawa.
Yun nga yun. Anyway, maraming salamat po. Mayor Vico Soto ng Pasig, thank you very much po for joining us tonight.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo.
Thank
Ingat
you.
po.
Salamat po.
And I would like to welcome the Mayor of Manila, Isko Moreno. Mayor, good evening. Hoy, nakamute kayo, Mayor. Mayor, nakamute kayo.
Magandang gabi sa inyo
Okay.
apat at sa inyong
Okay.
mga manonood.
Yorme.
Hi, sir.
Good evening po.
Advance happy birthday.
Oo nga pala.
Advance po, advance.
Happy birthday. May
Sabado,
utang kami sa inyo, Mayor. Pero tamang-tamang,
Kailan po manyanita? Kailan na manyanita?
Ala,
ayaw may utang sa kanya eh. Ayaw may utang.
load
Oo
to
nga,
lang,
no?
load to.
Huwag kang paalala. Paalala mo eh.
Oo. Pero Mayor, tamang-tama, magse-segue tayo from our previous guest, si Father Ceciliano. Nabanggit niya, and I think you had a meeting today with the Archbishop of Manila, the Apostolic, ano pala, hindi Archbishop, but
Si
the
Moise.
Archdiocese of Manila, oo. Tungkol nga dito sa mga, because magpapasko nga, dumadami yung mga gustong mag-attend ng misa, and farther ahead, nandan yung Nazareno. Ano po yung napagkasunduan nyo kanina during the meeting?
Well, one, yung sinabi ni Father kanina, totoo po yun, no? May naganap na pulong. Ako po mismo ay humingi ng oras with Bishop Abilio and some leaders of the church in the city of Manila, including the sa ating parish sa Quiapo. Yun nga po, ang Maynila, at ito ay ni-reaffirm na rin ng IATF, so it goes to Metro Manila already, that our curfew were adjusted from dati 10 to 4, it became 12 to 4 for now. Then come December 1, magiging 12 to 3 a.m. No, para longer mass, I mean maraming mass, may spread yung tao kasi tama yung concern nyo, no? Bukod sa nilakihan natin yung capacity sa loob ng simbahan, from 10% to 30%, baka mag-overflow pa rin dahil alam mo naman, ang kinakapitan na lang ng tao ngayon talaga ang pananampalataya. You know, we have to respect that, but at the same time, we can be, vigilant and put some level of discipline among ourselves and the government. So, 12 to 3. At yung meeting namin naman, sinabay na rin doon yung ating Santo Niño at saka Nazareno. Dalawa kasi malaki, no? Sa Manila.
Santo Niño pa rin.
Malaking event talaga yan. Ang Santo Niño, ang Tondo at Pandakan. At ang Poong Nazareno, ang Quiapo. The only difference between Santo Niño, kami-kami lang sa Maynila. Most of it, if not all, ang pupunta sa Pandakan at Tondo.
Pero
But
marami pa rin.
with regard to Nazareno, mga taga Metro Manila at some portion of Northern Luzon, or Central Luzon and Southern Luzon and the Eastern Board, no, will merge in Quezon Boulevard, no, in Quiapo. So millions of people will merge here. And I told them in the beginning, before the meeting, I had a few weeks ago, it's a no-no. If the situation of Manila today is January, kung ngayon yung sitwasyon, it's a no-no. Pagpaumanin na nila, patawarin na nila ako, hindi ko talaga mailalagay sa alanganin yung milyong-milyong tao. Still, we have about 5,000 in Metro Manila, no? As we speak today. So, delikado. And in fairness to them, no? One, they agree already. Kanina, may basic na kaming agreement na kapag ganito ang sitwasyon sa Enero, ayan, ngayon pa lang ako natanong about it, the meeting.
Agreement na.
About a few hours ago. So, it's a no-no. Now, we had a meeting today. Merong ibang mga suggestions or other ways, other means of celebrating.
Ano yun?
Online Nazareno, paano yan? Paano?
Ano yun?
Technology, some of it, technology will be adopted.
Oh.
Hindi ko
Online?
na sabi sa inyo muna yung specifics kasi we have to agree, no? Basta ang common denominator ngayon, so far, as of today, napag-agreean namin, wala. It's literally no.
Mayor, it's one thing po to decide na walang parada, di ba? It's one thing to say na ano. Pero what does that mean physically in terms of do you need to close off the area? Kasi I imagine marami pong mga deboto na kahit sabihin nyo na walang parada, nagbubukas din tayo ng ekonomiya. People are free to go out of their communities. Marami rin pong mga deboto, I can imagine, will go on their own volition kaya makita nila o hindi. So, what exactly do we mean when we say na that's a no-no?
What is important first? First things first. Kasi maraming problem pa after solving one. One, walang parada. So, walang dadamba. Alam mo yun, walang milyon. Walang milyon kagad.
Walang
Because
punas.
there is no point to go to Quiapo, no, on the said day, kasi hindi naman talaga lalabas ang Nazareno. Tapos may adapt ang technology wherein the church will make Nazareno, Poong Nazareno, closer to their home, no? That's one, no? And yung with regard to your question, yes, it's really the next challenge. Will people stop?
Still go.
Will not come? The answer is, I don't think so. I think some, not all, the numbers that we are expecting, will continue to go. Experience namin yan, no? Last first Friday of October, nagkaroon kami ng challenge. Nakita na namin sabi namin, oh my God, first Friday pa lang to ng October. What more kung Nazareno? Nag-o-overflow talaga yung tao. So kanina, I spoke with the Colonel Giagi of Station 3 na buksan pa ng kaunti yung Villalobos, no? I-stretch pa natin kasi yung Plaza Miranda na dating yung nalalamang punong-puno ng vendor.
Yeah.
Wala na vendor yun.
Wala na.
Since day one, modesty aside, no? The plaza itself, the square. So doon namin nakalagay yung mga utaw. Ngayon, nung nadisiplina yun sa Plaza Miranda, nag-spill naman sa Quezon Boulevard. Dahil mas malapit sa pintuan ng simbahan.
Nasa gilid.
So sabi namin, pakisuyuan natin yung taong bayan, mag-spread na lang hanggang Hidalgo at saka Villalobos. Kasi there's another street. And yung Carriedo is zero vendor. No obstruction. It's
Yes.
mas malapad. Pero pag tinignan mo siya, you're still, ang North Star mo pa rin is yung Quiapo Church. So that can be utilized as an available space for those yung mga nagsasampalataya na doon pumunta. So those are the considerations. I cannot really guarantee if people will not come or come. But let me use this opportunity, no, this interview and your viewers, na please naman, ano lang mo tayo, konting tiisa lang. I think even Jesus, no, will understand it. No, na ayaw rin naman niya tayong malagay sa kapahamakan. I mean, di ba? While it is true that we need to continue to practice such, dahil sa, I think nowadays, that's the anchor of hope ng mga tao. Gutom ang tao, walang trabaho, they're hoping na God will listen to them, to their request. But there are ways, our parents, my mother told me very, very clearly, sabi ng nanay ko, kahit saan, anong oras, anong ginagawa mo, pwede mo makausap ang Diyos. Humingi ka ng tawad, humingi ka ng blessing, magpasalamat ka, kahit nasaan ka, pwede yan. So, ba't may pagkakait sa sarili mo yan? But kasi minsan, for purpose of symbolism, when we're closer, as a Catholic, I wear cross. You see cross in my body because I want to be closer. And these are the symbol of, as a believer, na malapit sa Diyos. But there are also other ways. And I think this pandemic taught us very well, may mga iba pa namang kaparaanan. And I hope they will
Kasi
listen to us.
Yorme, kasi panata ang pinag-uusapan dyan.
Yes, I know.
Yan ordinaryong pagsamba eh. Panata yan eh. Kung namamatay nila, diba? Ganon yung mentality.
Meron ako mga kilalang tao that for 30 years, they've been doing it every year. They sacrifice some physical, makita lang at magawa lang nila. But then again, I'll go back to the teaching of God. No, I'm no priest. Hindi ako religious. But also, God told us to take care of ourselves the way we care for our brothers and sisters. Di ba? Tinuturo rin naman yung kabutihan ganoon. Pangalagaan mo sarili mo, pag malasakitan mo kapwa mo. And I think God will be happier if we follow such thing. No? Ewan ko, I'm no hindi naman ako religious, but I pray every day. No?
Actually, Father,
yung kasalanan sa mundo.
Mayor. Actually, Mayor, yung panata in principle is sacrifice eh. And I suppose if you're looking at panata sacrifice, this should be a kind of sacrifice so that you don't spread infection. But now, having raised that point, I just had an idea. What if, kasi, for example, for Undas, nagkasundo yung Metro Manila Mayors na isara ang mga sementeryo for almost a week.
No, 2 months. Sa amin, 2 months. 2 months ago, I called the attention of the people of Manila that I will close down and shut down the North Cemetery and South Cemetery. That's why we did it 2 months ago for the same reason. Millions of people. Kasi ito yung alam mo yung sa pamamahala, alam mo na yung kung saan ka magpe-fail. If you know where are you going to fail at wala ka na magagawa, anong pwede pang gawin ng mas maaga pa? Kaya ang ginawa namin, sa Undas na yan talaga. Di ba, about a month ago, sa unang
binan mo na.
No, talaga. Sabi ko, now, sinabihan ko kayo ng maaga, para maaga kayong makapunta kung gusto nyo pa rin puntahan. Then again, sabi ko, I think your loved ones, if they can only talk to you, they will say, don't go. There is danger. There is still COVID in Manila. And in Metro Manila.
Otherwise, you will join them.
Unless you want to join.
Okay, but Mayor, speaking of COVID in Manila, no, sa Okta research, your attack rate is relatively good. Of course, gusto natin zero yan. But your attack rate is at 6%. Hospital occupancy, 43%, but let's put that into context kasi snapshot lang yan. Is it getting better? And what are the metrics that have you concerned at the same time optimistic?
Well, one, let me be clear, there is still danger in Manila. So, again, let me use this program to remind everyone, those who will go to Manila, just be careful. Two, gaano kagrabe yung panganib, no? Well, one is dangerous. There is danger with one infection, but 500 is more dangerous. Kaya lang kami medyo nakakahinga ng kaunti, no? Katulad kanina, since day one, we've been building quarantine facilities. Kanina, yung pang-14 naming quarantine facility with 66 bed. As you have mentioned, we have 37% occupancy rate in our COVID bed capacity in our 6 hospital. And we only have about 63% with our quarantine facility at 582 today of active cases, 18,072, salamat sa Diyos, nakaligtas. with 19,219 infection and nakikiramay ako sa 565 na pamilya na talaga who succumb from this dreadful disease. And you're talking of 2.4 million Manileños, nighttime population. And at the most densest city in the region, maybe in the world per square kilometer. So we're grateful. I cannot say safe na. No. But it's being managed. The risks are being managed. So far, we continue to strengthen our approach in keeping our frontliners safe by acquiring more upscale products, that protects them and function properly. And same manner with our equipment in our hospital. Lahat ng kilala mong brand na nagagamit sa pribadong ospital is in our public hospital, in the 6 hospitals, no? So relatively may challenge pa rin. Ayoko mag-relax eh. Kaya nga laging ang panawagan namin eh, huwag mag-relax. Mababa, yes, relatively, but there's still danger.
Let's bring in former CIDG chief and the incumbent mayor of the summer capital, Baguio Mayor Benji Magalong. Mayor, good evening and thank you for joining us.
Good evening
Ed.
po.
Good evening po.
Sir,
When he has the best backdrop of all.
ang ganda ng background ninyo eh. Baka pwedeng pasample daw.
Sa son-in-law ko po yan.
Sige sir. We won't press the issue. Baka, pero kung sakaling gusto niyo mamayang humugot ng isa dyan, tapos mag-play, okay lang. Well, sir, last week, I understand you're still with MGCQ, di ba? Modified General Community Quarantine. Now, last week, you said or you announced that you're ready to extend the quarantine further down the line because you are not yet ready for a new normal. This was last week, more or less. Now, given that Baguio is very tourism dependent, your economy is very tourism dependent, how is Baguio holding up? And are you ready to extend an MGCQ even further down the line?
Okay, first is we're really suffering. Ang laki ng aming losses. One is for the first 5 months, we're estimating about 2-point-something billion ang aming losses. That is assuming na 2,700 lang o 1 day lang ang pag-stay ng ating mga turista. That's only for our tourism industry. Iba pang mga businesses, manufacturing.
Yeah.
And in fact, we're getting around 200 million sa aming PESA. Pero this year, we're expecting siguro mga one half of that, mga 100 million lang o siguro baka hindi pa namin abutin. So for the entire year, we're expecting around 400 to 500 million ang losses namin in terms of revenue. Total na yan. At the same time, ang laki na rin ng aming unemployment. We're looking at about nagdo-double figure na rin kami sa aming unemployment. And at the same time, yung aming mga businesses, maski na sabihin natin na almost 80% na in-open natin, ang tao, they're still scared to really go out. Eh, makikita mo, marami pa rin, empty pa rin yung mga restaurants at iba-ibang establishment. So,
well, at least takot silang lumabas. Sa Metro Manila kasi, nanggigigil lumabas eh.
Kailangan higpitan eh. Siyempre, hinigpitan mo rin. Kung wala kang karapatang lumabas, talagang hinuhuli namin at pinoposasan din namin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, sir, talagang stricto sa inyo hanggang ngayon. Kasi sa Metro Manila, kahit pa paano, wala ka na makitang checkpoint masyado.
Stricto doon. Hindi okay basta-basta makapasok doon ngayon. Unless naka-registered ka online para ka nag-apply ng visa na meron kang schedule kung kailan ka aakyat ng Baguio. At the same time, pagdating mo sa checkpoint, dadalhin ka, escortan ka papunta doon sa triage namin. So we have 2 stage triage. Meron yung triage sa checkpoint. Meron pang triage doon sa central triage. We have a total of about 7 triage centers in the entire city.
Yeah. Sir, nababagabag ba kayo sa dumaraming transmission cases sa labas ng Baguio pero within the Cordillera region?
Yeah, it's a major concern. It's a major concern. In fact, compare na lang natin itong situation namin dito sa Cordillera na lang, entire region. In a matter of 8 days, from June 10 hanggang June 18, can you just imagine na from 57, umakyat na kagad ng 108
Yes,
ang cases. Ano?
nagdoble.
Sa that's, that's almost 100%. Sa Benguet is from 14, umakyat na kagad ng 36.
Oh, wow.
So ganun kabilis, no? More than 100%, around 160%. In Baguio naman nadagdagan kami ng 6. Ito yung mga na-detect namin, isang taxi driver na-detect namin dahil lahat we're now testing siguro mga 10% of our total taxi and jeepney drivers. At the same time, nagtetest na rin kami ng aming mga kapulisan. Yung isang kapulisan namin, kaya kami na-register sa amin, actually, assigned siya sa Benguet. Nagkataon lang umuwi siya rito sa siyudad ng Baguio. So, merong 5 na infected na persons doon, napasama siya doon. Kaya na-count sa amin yung isa. We also have workers coming from Pangasinan, coming up, na-detect namin sa aming triage because everybody has to go through the X-ray. Nung nakita namin na may potential na may infection sa lungs, RT-PCR kagad, doon nalaman na namin na positive pala siya.
This is disturbing considering that Baguio is held up as a benchmark for implementation of protocols. No? So, anong balak niyong gawin further para mapigilan palalo ito, no? Considering na napakahusay niyo na nga kung tutuusin.
Alam mo, hindi ka makasigurado because there are a lot of asymptomatic. Mabuti sana kung may nakatatak dito na positive patient, positive sa noo. No? Pero a lot of people are asymptomatic. And can you just imagine, in one day, we have returning Baguio residents and indispensable travels na coming up to Baguio at an average of about 650 a day.
That's a lot, huh?
Yeah, iba pa yun. Iba pa yung workers. Ito na lang, tingnan nyo na lang itong statistics na ito. In 20 days, from May 7 to 27, we opened our construction industry. In 20 days, pumasok na 1,048 na workers. Na-require namin, bawat worker, they have to go through the triage and X-ray. Out of 1,048, 125 ang nalaman namin na may sakit. That's 11.9%. Anong breakdown nung 125? 57 ang may pneumonia. 45 ang may tuberculosis. 7 ang may fibrosis. The rest are cardiomyopathy.
Sir, what does that do naman to your capacity for contact tracing? And how do you do the math on how much human resource you need to do contact tracing?
Okay, we have a total of 485 contact tracers. Pero ang talagang fully trained dyan na mayroong capability in terms of cognitive interviewing skills, they have the investigative skills is around 30. The rest are support contact tracers composed mainly of barangay officials. We're using technology. We have 3 systems. Meron kaming 3 systems. One is the data collection tool na we're using a user interface para kung saling nag-interview ka, all you have to do is bring out your mobile phone or your notebook or your iPad, tapos ipasok mo lang lahat ng data doon. Second is we have our GIS platform to be able to do geospatial analysis. Find out ano yung extent ng infections sa isang particular area. You can actually visualize it dahil nakapatong yung layer, yung mga layers niya, yung data nakapatong sa mapa. And finally, we have this link analysis analytical tool that we're using to be able to link one particular contact to another contact. Pero hindi lang linking ng tao yan. It tells you a story. It has content, it has substance. And that's probably the reason why in a matter of 24 hours, we will be able to contact 70%. Na-trace kagad namin ang 70% to 80% of the contacts at na-isolate kagad namin.
No, sir, I mean, really, I mean, people listening in, it all sounds really, really, really impressive. Gaya nga po ng sinabi ni Lucci, Baguio is held up by many, many people, even your fellow mayors. We keep referring to Baguio and wonderful things you're doing. I'm just curious po, all of these innovations and everything that you've set up, and people really are saying this is a model. Saan po nanggagaling yun? I mean, would you attribute, because that's what people do, they attribute it to, kasi police dati yan, CIDG dati yan, siguro may pinanggalingan yan, or would you attribute the innovations and the models that you've created to other things?
Alam mo, tulong-tulong din yan eh. It's a collective effort. Ano? For example, sa aming systems, basically IT-based systems, meron akong very strong na team that's working on it. Second is, siguro na malaking tulong yung galing ako sa CIDG, and at the same time, karamihan nito mga systems na to, we were able to develop it when I was in the Philippine National Police, tulad ng Crime Information Research and Analysis System, which we developed when I was in the Cordillera region, and it became a national system. Ito yung crime mapping. Instead of crime ang nilalagay mo yung COVID-19 cases. So you can basically, visualize nga yung binabanggit ko kanina. Second is, when I was in CIDG, we were able to develop yung crime case management and analysis system. Instead na cases naman, criminal cases, ang nilagay ko naman is COVID-19 cases. You should understand na yung investigate ng isang COVID-19, yung contact tracing, is similar to, investigating a serial crime. So pinalitan lang natin, binago lang natin yung ating mga data, pero basically the dynamics, the process flow is the same. Marami kami nakukuha best practices eh. A lot of people are saying na I'm best practices sa Baguio. But you should understand that marami rin best practices actually sa ibang mga local government unit. Hindi lang na-highlight.
Mayor, kumustahin ko naman yung mass transportation kasi before the pandemic, Baguio had one of the worst, halos pareho na tayo ng Maynila sa traffic eh. Ngayon, malaking problema dito sa Metro Manila yung mass transportation facilities. Kumusta naman, ano mga measures nyo for in connection with mass transport?
Okay, unang-una po, hindi pa po namin pinapayagan na mag-travel po yung ating mga buses.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, binanggit ko na po sa ating DOTR kay Yusek Mark De Leon na kung sakasakaling i-open nila yung buses NUV Express, they have to make sure na may proper consultation sa local government unit. In the same manner na hindi pwede porket nanggaling sa akin yung bus, papayagan ko ng bumiyahe. I still have, as mayor, I still have to coordinate and talk to the governor or mayor nung destination. Kailangan yon, kailangan merong co-collaborate ang dalawang local services. Second is yung aming PUJs, almost 50% na nakalabas because it's demand-driven. We started
kasama po dun yung yung traditional jeepneys. May mga nakita kami ng traditional jeepneys.
Sa Baguio po, talagang very traditional pa po. Hindi pa po pwede talaga yung karamihan rito, hindi po nakakapasa yung ating mga tinatawag na e-jeepneys. Kasi you should understand na yung grade 2 ng big roads, talagang may umabot pa kami ng 35% yung mga slopes namin. So hindi po pumasa. Sa dami ho nang dinala rito ng e-jeepneys, wala akong pumasa. Ang pumapasa ho rito yung mga Euro 4 or Euro 5, but they are just so expensive. At wala pong very attractive na system na talagang may encourage po yung ating mga jeepney operators at jeepney drivers na talagang kunin po yung yung mga offer. No? So we're still using traditional jeepneys. Pero ginagawa po namin dito is we're working closely with LTFRB and LTO to determine po yung roadworthiness nila. Kaya marami rin pong nawatatanggal na mga jeepneys. At yung roadworthy lang po in terms of carbon emission, yung setup, pati yung minimum health standards, yun lang po ang pwede bumiyahe rito.
Again, we have our guest for tonight. Again, we have Mayor Marcy Teodoro of Marikina, the hardest hit, I suppose, LGU in Metro Manila following Typhoon Ulysses. Mayor Marcy, good evening po, and thank you again for joining us in the Chiefs.
Yeah, Ed,
Evening,
good
Mayor.
evening. Lucy, magandang gabi.
Magandang gabi
Mayor,
po.
mangangamusta muna kami sa inyo kasi mukhang mahigit isang linggo kayong rumatsada sa kalsada. How is Marikina now?
Mahirap yung lagay namin, Ed. Tuloy-tuloy yung clearing operation namin ng mga debris brought about by the flooding. Wala nang tubig sa maraming area pero naiwan yung makapal na putik. Kaya nga,
Grabe nga yung basura eh.
oo,
Grabe yung basura, Mayor, no? Oo, ginawa ng reporter namin, email yun. Sabi nyo nga, it's 1 year's worth of trash, no?
correct. That's approximately around 650,000 cubic meters of debris. Ang masakit, Lucy, pag tinitingnan mo, gamit yung appliances, mga
Yes,
furniture,
Bigla naging
mattresses.
basura.
Tapos
Yes,
damit, bata, alam mo, wash out. Yun ang term na ginagamit ng mga taga Marikina, wash out lahat. Dahil nga, ang flooding is as high as second story or second floor of houses. Kaya daigang undoy dahil mas mataas pa to dun sa water level ng undoy. So, based on our estimation, baka we'll be needing around, ng undoy, 2 months yung kanyang period to clean up to clear everything. Tinitingnan namin sa kalendaryo namin, baka we could manage to clear everything from 30 days to 45 days, given the resources that we have at this point in time. Marami rin, ang maganda lang, yung community ngayon nagpa-participate, kumikilos, naglilinis ng kanilang sariling lugar. Tapos marami rin coming from the private sector na nag-volunteer ng kanilang equipment, manpower, na hindi kaya ng gobyerno mag-isa And we adopted this strategy and we would like to seek the understanding of our residents that we have identified some temporary dump site or transfer station, what we call it. Transfer station kasi transitory lang naman, interim. Doon muna tinatambak yung maraming debris. At doon kinukuha ng malaking truck para dalhin sa malayong dump site. Ang dump site na pinakamalapit sa Marikina yung San Mateo.
San Mateo, landfill.
Na-hit din ng typhoon, flooded din yung air. Kaya dinihintay din namin mag-clear yung mga major thoroughfare. Lucy,
Saan tong temporary dump site ninyo? Saan yan?
in various areas in the city.
Iba-iba. Okay.
Open space namin. Halimbawa, yung river park namin dati, ito, galaan. Pero ngayon, makita mo, tambak ng debris. Ang road clear namin, ang number of streets, nasa 2,452 streets based on our inventory. Around 450 kilometers of length of roadways, both major and secondary roads. We have 349 major roads to be cleared. And we have 101 kilometers of mga interior, mga alleys, secondary roads to clear.
Mayor, that accounts for what percentage of your entire road system?
Oh, roughly, Robbie, we simply have 375 kilometers of roadways in Marikina. Ang problem is, yung iba, flooded halos lahat ng streets sa Marikina. Ang consideration lang kung gaano kalalim. Yung naman hindi flooded, maraming debris na mga bumagsak na pulong kahoy, mga nilipad na pugong, mga sasakyan. Ang dami rin nasira, inanod dahil doon sa malakas na abot ng tubig pa. Yung tubig pa akala ng mga tao, kung hindi ka nakaranas dito, static lang. Hindi. Fast flowing. Rumaragasa. Yun ang term, rumaragasa. Kaya, may kami sa Provident Village, yung River Dike doon. Nasira about 50 around, I think, 200 meters ng length ng road dike, ng river dike rather.
So na-breach nga siya. Na-breach siya. Yun ba talaga daw ang sanhi ng flooding sa Provident? Or yun yung result ng flooding? Ano nga ho ba nangyari ron? Kasi, some news reports had it na yun daw ang naging sanhi ng flooding. Pero sabi naman ng iba, hindi. Na-breach yun dahil sa laki, sa dami ng baha, sa taas ng baha.
Luchi, tama yung second statement mo. Na-breach yung dike dahil sa malakas na agos ng tubig coming from Marikina River. Doon pumasok yung tubig going inside the village. Partly, yes, oo. Pero meron din syempre yung flooding na nag-backflow na yung tubig from the river inside the village. Pero yun ang nakapag-cause ng damage doon sa mga properties inside the village, and may casualty because of that breach the river dike. Sa lakas ng agos, may mga perimeter wall ng mga bahay na bumagsak. Unfortunately, may mga nabagsak ang mga tao.
Saan ba natin ilulugar yung mga tao natin?
Robbie, dapat may proper zoning talaga yung development natin. Sa Marikina, after Undoy, we have this hazard mapping Sa hazard mapping, naroon yung fault line, yung earthquake namin, earthquake-prone areas, yung flood-prone areas. We're able to identify this in our map. So, may mga areas kami talaga na non-buildable na. And even the design of the houses, for example, near the fault line, cannot go higher than a level na allowable for safety purposes. Meron kaming ganon. So, the challenge really is how to properly implement the zoning ordinance or the zoning regulations that we have in the city. And we've been implementing that naman. Kaya nga yung iba naming mga developer, umaalis ng Marikina kasi we don't allow yung pating density level mini-maintain namin we maintain as much as possible open areas for the city kasi kaya open areas yun dahil yun nga flood prone, floodplain, yung mga areas na along the fault line, yung mga ganon kino-convert namin siya sa napila parke, palaruan, yung mga ganon. Meron din kaming evacuation route for the city Lumindol, alam namin kung saan kami pupunta. So may mga ganong mapping kami.
But
nangyari naman ito dahil tinulungan din kami ng mga international organization para magkaroon nito. So hindi naman to ginawa lang based on experience. May konting technology, may science na in-employ